Now, the United States and Sudan are to exchange ambassadors for the first time in 23 years. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo announced it on Twitter, and it comes at the same time as the Sudanese Prime Minister, Abdalla Hamdok, is on his first official visit to Washington as the transitional Prime Minister. The moves are the latest sign of a possible warming of relations between these two countries, which began to improve after the removal of former President Omar al-Bashir. All right, we can speak now to Waleed Madibo, who's president of the Sudan Policy Forum and is a governance and development expert, joining us from Doha. And Waleed, what would constitute a successful trip as far as Mr. Hamdok is concerned? What does he need to bring back to Sudan?
I believe he so far has succeeded to a great extent, because the restoration of U.S. relationships with Sudan is very essential. I think America can only influence other nations by getting engaged in good relationship with them, not by alienating itself. However, I think there is some naivety on part of Hamdok government and some moral ambiguity on part of the Americans. Let me start with the American side. I think America is putting too much emphasis on the SSTL, the state-sponsored terrorist list, and instead it should help the Hamdok and his government coerce the military officers to come out gradually out of the equation of power, because America does have leverage over the Sudanese army. It can coerce it, it can persuade it to become more democratic and to help it restructure itself.
There hasn't been any indication so far, correct me if I'm wrong, that America is prepared to take that vital step, vital for Khartoum at least, and that is to remove it from the list of state sponsors of terrorism, because that's what Sudan needs in order to open itself up to investment. Nobody will invest in Sudan whilst it's on that list.
Yeah, I think that's a very good remark on your part. I think it's now the role of Hamdok. Hamdok needs to get engaged in genuine elite bargain. He needs to get involved in serious talk with the military officers, especially the so-called military council, or what used to be the military council. He needs to find out what is it exactly that they need so that they can come out of this equation of governance. Do they need immunity, and so that he can find his way of bringing those accused of having committed crimes in the periphery of Sudan to trial? And if he gives them immunity, maybe they can help him bring those criminals to justice. But without bringing those criminals to justice, mainly military and security officers who have committed the genocide in Darfur, I don't think that the Americans will take him seriously.
But also, I mean, conversely, what he also needs in order to get anything done is to bring in investment. I mean, Hamdok himself has been quoted by the Financial Times as saying that his country is bankrupt. I mean, how bad, how dire is the economic situation in Sudan, and can Sudan move forward to the next stage without international financing?
I think Sudan at this stage is morally bankrupt, not economically bankrupt. Sudan is a very resourceful nation, but 80% of the national GDP goes to the army. So without restructuring the army, you can't put your financial statement in order. But in order to convince the army to restructure itself, they need some assurances, especially the top-ranking officials. I think Hamdok is wrong in the sense that he thinks that Sudan's problem is primarily economic. It is primarily a political problem. So far, no attempt has ever been done by himself or by his fellow colleagues in the cabinet to handle the issue of the periphery and crimes that have been committed against the Nuba Mountains and South Kordofan and Darfur.
Waleed Madibo, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.